everyone, Rowan here and welcome to another video. Today I'm doing another recommendation video and I'm doing fairy tale retellings and or books based off of fairy tales. This is kind of a thing that I feel has come into popularity in the last couple years. There's been suddenly a huge amount of books based off of fairy tales and I am loving it. So I figured I would recommend a few of my favorite books that are based off of fairy tales to you guys. So I'm going to start with Cinder, or just The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. There's Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and then Winter is coming out, and they are all based off of different fairy tales, each girl kind of book. So Cinder is about a girl based off of Cinderella. She is a cyborg living in New Beijing, so this is kind of like a sci-fi fantasy mishmash sort of book. And she does repairs on robots and things of that sort. She's very techy. And the prince comes to her asking her to repair one of his servant robot thingies that has valuable information on it that he really needs. So she kind of starts to meet the prince and she really likes him, but there is the evil queen Levana who lives on the moon and she wants to either start war with the world or marry the prince, and the prince does not want to marry her because she's evil. And this book is really fun, really cute, really adventurous, and I really love how certain elements of Cinderella are tied into Cinder. She's got the evil stepmother, kind of a twist on the evil stepsisters, and the ball, the shoe. Everything has its own unique twist on it, and this series is so fun, and the first one is fantastic. Really great. And the next book I'm going to share with you is kind of one from my childhood, actually, and it is one of the first book series I ever fell in love with, and that is Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. I don't know, she's like German or something, so I'm just gonna say Funk. This is not necessarily based off a fairy tale, but it does have fairy tale characters and things in it, and I loved these books when I was younger. If you guys have not read these, you really should. They are so much fun. It's about a girl whose father has always raised her to love books, and he does book repairs and things, and she finds out that he has the power to read and pull people or things out of books. But he can only do that if something goes back into the book in replace. So her mother vanished years ago. Gee, I wonder how. And she herself might potentially have the power, but there are people looking for him that want him to pull like gold and riches and things out of books. You do get to see characters from not necessarily like fairy tales. Like, I don't know if 1,000 Nights or 1,000 Arabian Nights or whatever that one is, I don't know if that would be considered a fairy tale necessarily, but there's definitely fantasy elements, and it does go back to some really classic books and stories. So I'm counting this one. I don't care if you guys care or not. This one is on the list. The next book on my list is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This one is really interesting. It's a twist on Beauty and the Beast, except kind of not. It really is, because it definitely has elements of it, but it's really interesting because it's about a girl who is getting kind of sold off, offered as a peace offering to this demon king sort of guy. It's kind of hard to explain. You'd really just have to read. But she knows it's coming, so she's been training her whole life to kill him, but she kind of hates everybody that put her up to this because they didn't love her and she was the one that was forced to do it over her other sister who her father loves more. So she's kind of got this darkness and this rebelliousness eating inside of her. So when she goes, she doesn't end up killing him, but she's trying to find a way to free the land from this curse he put it under. And it's really interesting because she is a dark character. She isn't like the traditional princess from a fairy tale. She's not really like a pure, innocent, loving, kind-hearted. She really hates people, and she hates what's happened to her, and she thinks it's unfair, and she hates everyone, and I loved it. I thought it was a really great twist. So I would recommend reading this just because characters are interesting, the story's interesting, and it does have a lot of elements of the traditional Beauty and Beast fairy tale. So this one was great. The next book I'm recommending is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. This one is not necessarily based off of any traditional fairy tales, but it is based off of Welsh fairy tales and legends about water horses. So I love this book. I love Maggie Stiefvater. I love her writing. This book is a really, really fantastic, just standalone. It's about a fictional island of Thisbe, I believe, and every November they do races, horse races, except they are water horses that they call from the ocean and try to capture. And they're very dangerous, bloodthirsty, some say evil beasts that they try to tame. So there's this girl, Puck, who decides she's going to try to enter the race, despite the fact she hates water horses and is terrified of them. And she enlists the help of a boy, and he is known as just like the water horse whisperer. It's really a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book, and I wish more people would read this. I feel like nobody reads it, and it's really, really, really great. The next book on my list is actually one of my favorite books, and just a beautiful retelling of a traditional fairy tale, and that is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marlier. She's French. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is the retelling of, I don't know the name of the actual fairy tale. It's the one where the brothers get turned into swans. It's a pretty popular one. I feel like a couple books have been written about it. But it's about a girl, and they are living in Ireland? I believe Ireland, because it's all Celtic. And her father marries a woman who's like an evil sorceress, and she turns all of her brothers into swans. And then she has to go on a quest to try and save them. And it's just a beautiful, like, historical fantasy. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book. I had my mom read it and she didn't like it, but she's got awful taste. And she just didn't like it because it was long and kind of slow. But even the slow parts just are beautiful character build-up. And she, this is kind of during the point in time when the British are trying to Christianize all of, like, the Celtic land and everything. So she runs into some men that are there from some little town, I don't remember, but they're English, and they capture her, but kind of not. It's just a beautiful romantic tale and about sibling love and fantasy and fae, and oh, such a great book. And it's actually part of a whole series called Seven Waters series, but this one specifically is the one based on the fairy tale. It's really just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. Okay, so the last one I'm recommending is not technically a book, it's a comic series, but same thing, I don't care, I'm counting it. And that is Fables by Bill Willingham. I love these. I got the first 3, I think, for Christmas, and they are so, so much fun. I totally recommend them if you haven't really read comics, because I started with these, and they are so great and so fun and entertaining. They are about if all the fairy tale characters that we know and love lived in New York. They were chased from their land by this villain, the adversary, who's just like conquering different worlds, and they now live in like a private, secretive place in New York City and try to keep their existence secret and trying to like run everybody. It's really, really so fun and fantastic, and you learn a lot about the traditional fairy tales not quite being what they seem and characters being different, and it's just so much fun. They're so, so good. I highly, highly recommend these if you like any sort of comic or graphic novel, or if you even haven't read one before, this is a great place to start. Alright you guys, so those are my fairy tale retelling recommendations. If you guys have read any of those and like them, let me know. Or if you have any of your own to recommend, please let me know. I'm always, always interested because I love fairy tales and I love seeing how people tie them in to make their own original stories, still with kind of those familiar hints of what we know. Fantastic. I absolutely love it. Alright you guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.